Classic monster toys. Once upon a time, if you wanted a toy that was a surefire hit with boys, you made something frightening or disgusting. And let's face it, that still holds true today. While the 1960s might be considered the boom period for classic monster toys, the 1970s had their fair share as well. And Mattel was actually quite a big contributor in the later part of the decade. Toys such as Crusher and Sucker Man were incredibly cool and quite popular for their time. But while incredibly awesome for what they were, neither were quite as cool as Gre-Gory the Vampire Bat. Gre-Gory was released by Mattel in 1979, with a frightful name that was a play on words and an incredibly awesome box that featured some eye-catching art, complete with dripping blood. This was something that every young boy would look at in the store and insist on owning. Let's take a closer look at that box. I love classic packaging like this. Toys today just don't seem to feel as inspired as some of these classic boxes with the detailed artwork on them. It does a great job of selling the item within. It also doesn't hurt that it has some great quotes littered about the box as well. He's the bat you love to hate. Shake him and his wings flap. Press his back to see blood flow in his chest. Oh, and my personal favorite, use your own string to hang him upside down. What an awesome action feature that is. All joking aside, this box is pretty incredible and was a surefire attention grabber. So let's pull old Gre-Gory out of his box. Now I know what you're thinking. This looks nothing more than a glorified rubber bat. And you know what? You're kind of right. He's not much unlike those rubber bats you see at Halloween time. Except this rubber bat is actually made of a very sturdy vinyl. He has a massive 15-inch wingspan. He has feet designed to be hung upside down by running a piece of string through. And oh yeah, he has a freaking see-through chest. Does your average rubber bat have one of those? Nope, didn't think so. That's right, the main selling point of Gre-Gory was his exposed chest. It's a solid piece of plastic that allows you to view his inner workings. By pressing a button on Gre-Gory's back, blood is seen pumping through his body. Unfortunately, these old toys like this tend to dry out with age, so Gre-Gory's blood pumping action does not work as well these days. But nonetheless, it was an incredibly cool action feature. It was gross and gruesome, and kids loved it. Gre-Gory's blood-pumping action was actually lifted straight from one of Mattel's other toys from earlier that decade, Pulsar. Pulsar was a large action figure that featured a similar gimmick, allowing you to see his lungs moving and his blood pumping. It's kind of grotesque, actually. But that's why the kiddies loved him. By the way, Pulsar and Gre-Gory aren't the only times Mattel used this particular action feature. Can you guess where else it was used? That's right, Mattel recycled the same feature in the 1980s for their Masters of the Universe toy line for one of my all-time favorite action figures, Mosquitor. I think that makes Mosquitor and Gre-Gory like brothers or something. Aside from the awesome blood-pumping chest, Gre-Gory also featured wing-flapping action by shaking him, soft rubber teeth for biting, and that awesome hang upside down feature we keep talking about. Okay, so yeah, he's pretty much just a big rubber bat. But that blood-pumping action is really where it's at on this toy. And while Gre-Gory may not survive if he were released in today's world of toy collectors and video game playing children, For his time, Gre-Gory was pretty dang awesome. And to this day, he remains to be one of the all-time classic toys from Mattel.